Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Suleiman Raheem here. Let's slay some demons. I want you to listen carefully to this short clip I'm about to play. It's very illuminating, very revealing. They play games with biology. They play games with history. They play games with science. But they only reveal the truth when it serves them. Now, it's a biological fact that the male carries the seed, and you are whatever your father is, period. But they don't use that scientific method when it comes to us, because they have this system where if you have any, in other words, unless both your parents are Caucasian, then you're something else. So your father could be Caucasian, but that's not you. See, your father's Caucasian, but you're anything else, then you're not Caucasian. Then you're a person of color. So you got this new term now, person of color. Now the lessons tell us that the colored man is Yaqub's creation. They're the colored people, but they get a designation to enhance or to give credibility to this bullshit they're telling us. See, that's how they give cover, to the demons. Like they say, when you are an informant or something, you have to have a cover story, right? So that's how they give cover. So in other words, they're part of us because they're people of color. When they're not part of us. See, they're slave masters' children. And they know this. But they won't say that because then you'll be on the lookout. See, because when we was in the fields, we knew that. We knew not to trust them. If they was in master's house, they was master's children. We don't care how black they were. And we knew not to trust them. But now, see, they're here and they undercover. And so they're a person of color. Just like Kamala Harris, well, she's a person of color. So that means somehow she belongs to us. But she ain't one of us. And the demons are not one of us. And Farrakhan is not one of us. See? And that's how they trick you. But they know better. So listen to this small clip and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because when it serves them, they tell the truth. See? So hold on for a second. Let me get this set up for you. Let me stage this. Give me a second here. Now listen carefully. One second. Hold on, almost ready. Okay, here we go.
A former congresswoman from New Mexico called Deb Haaland is Joe Biden's incoming Secretary of the Interior. And that's not a small job. Make fun of it if you will. But the Interior Department manages about a fifth of the entire surface area of the United States. It's got 70,000 employees and an enormous budget. So it's a lot of power to run it. What does Deb Haaland plan to do with all this new power? Well, no one's asked her. They're too busy celebrating what she looks like.
Congresswoman Deb Haaland appearing before senators for her confirmation hearing today.
She would make history as the first Native American cabinet secretary if she is confirmed.
She would be the first Native American cabinet secretary if confirmed. She is a historic pick in this respect. She is going to be the first Native American to serve in this role. The Interior Department, of course, governs public lands, tribal lands, and so this is going to be a very exciting pick for many Democrats.
It's very exciting that Deb Haaland is a Native American. That's CNN's position. They don't explain why it's exciting. But it's a good question. Why is it exciting? None of us choose how we were born. It's nothing that we did or that we earned. So it seems a little weird to be, quote, excited about an accident of birth. How excited would CNN be if Deb Haaland were unusually tall or had red hair or was born left-handed? The good news for Deb Haaland is, since she was born the way that she was, no one is allowed to criticize her, as MSNBC has explained.
Well, they're desperate to launch a counterattack against the Democratic president. At this point, attacking any old thing will do, but we're also talking about Republicans here. So the go-to is the same go-to as usual. Pick out the women and the people of color and just go off.
People of color.
And so, several Republicans have decided to target Biden's cabinet nominees of color, like Deb Haaland.
People of color.
So that's who Deb Haaland is. She's a person of color. The most important thing about Deb Haaland is her ethnicity. That's the unanimous message from our professional class. But since we're playing identity politics here, which obviously is disgusting, we wish we weren't. Identity politics is stupid and immoral. But since we are, it's fair to ask a few more questions. Deb Haaland identifies as a Native American. On the other hand, Haaland sounds very much like a Scandinavian name. That stuck out to some of us who have Scandinavian names. So what's going on here? Well, in fact, Deb Haaland is every bit as much Scandinavian as she is American Indian. Her father was Norwegian. And that means, in addition to everything else, Deb Haaland is America's first Norwegian-American Interior Secretary since Thomas Kleppe served in the Ford administration almost 50 years ago.
Norwegian-American.
In their quiet, brooding way, the Scandinavian community, we can tell you, is beaming with pride. Finally, one of ours has made it. Little girls with names like Larson and Hansen and Dahl will watch cabinet meetings on C-SPAN and know that they, too, have a chance to oversee 1/5 of the American landmass someday. When Deb Haaland speaks, she'll be speaking for millions of Norwegian Americans, people whose ancestors have been here in the Americas for more than 1,000 years. Their voices can now be heard. Deb Haaland, hero to the Nordic people. She's welcome in our sauna anytime.
Did you get that? Now, if her mother had been black, they wouldn't have said that she was a Scandinavian or Nordic American. You see, did you get it? Look, play it back. See, because that's what they're saying. See, so in other words, because her father was, I think it's Scandinavian. Was she Scandinavian American? See, because her father was Caucasian, but her mother was Native American. But if her mother had been black and her father had been Scandinavian, hers no color. See, she's black. That's the game they're playing. You better get onto it and start weeding those demons out of your neighborhood and start worshiping these demons because they're not for you and they know it. See, he slipped on this. They're probably gonna purge when they figure out the mistake he made because he wasn't supposed to say that. See, no one has said that because that's the reality. You are what your father is. See, and he slipped out and said it because it suited their agenda. Think about it. The lessons tell you that we're not the colored people. What they're telling you is there's the white people and everybody else. Because everybody else are people of color. See, they're the mutts. That's the base of their power and their authority. That's why I keep trying to explain to you. That's the base of their wealth and their power. Racism. Because by reducing us, everyone else, to less than human, that means they had the right to our energy, our resources, which they were all over the world taking it. That's how they got so rich and powerful. See, the ideology of racism and they're not giving it up. So you can have Farrakhan and all these talking about all this crap. They're not going to, because they give it up, they're lost. Because they're a minority on the planet. If they give up racism, they're lost. They'll be the poorest people, because they were the poorest people on the planet before they adopted this ideology of racism. They were the poorest people on the planet before they adopted ideology of racism. When the British came out and established the British Empire all over the world, when they discovered the whole world, taking everybody's resources, that's how they became rich and powerful. And they're not giving it up, because before they were poor. They ran over here because they was poor. Irish came over here because they couldn't, nothing would grow. The British came because they was poor. The Europeans was poor all over the planet. And it's the ideology of racism that made them powerful and rich behind the power of the gun. Period. You better understand that. So let these clowns tell you, oh man, you racist and all that kind of stuff. That's the root of their power, racism. And they're not giving it up. Because they give it up, right? Then they lose their power. They lose their power and their wealth. They give everything back that they took. They lose their power and their wealth. Understand it. That's the bottom line. I hope you understand that principle. See, they got rich by taking from everyone else, because they had to take and put in their people's minds that they deserved everything that everybody had, because we was less than human. They was the people of color. See, everybody, they was other than white. They not take from each other, they take from us. So the people of color are subhuman, and that means they have authority just like the animals, right? They have authority. They feel animals are living beings. They have to feel they have authority to eat them, to do whatever they will with them. See, because that's the idea behind evolution. See, they say the apes and everything, according to their so-called theory of evolution, that they are ancestors. Well, so why are they putting our ancestors in cages and things? Because they say stop evolving. And so they say they came from us. I mean, we came from them. Or at least they say they came from them. But now they say, well, yeah, we evolved from black people. Do you understand what's going on? They evolved from black people. That means we stopped evolving too. And they kept on evolving. You don't understand what's going on. You listen to these demons and these so-called intellectuals. They working for them, and they breaking their behind to prove to them that they're still evolving and that we ain't. Because they look at us, those Negroes that adopt the evolutionary theory, they take the same thing. They say, these niggas out there in the ghettos, they're not evolving anymore. See, and they prove it to masses, they still evolving. They're the humans, and we're stuck behind. That's what they think. That's why they don't care nothing about you. Just like they wouldn't care nothing about an ape or a monkey or a chimpanzee. They don't care nothing about you. Look at what they're doing. See? It's like Kamala Harris. Oh, see, to get your vote, she was black. See, but she's not black. She's Asian. See, but then once she got your vote, then all of a sudden she's Asian now. And if there's no election, what there will not be, right? Then she'll be black again. She won for president. Stop being stupid. My people was lost because of lack of knowledge. They're pulling these flim-flams on you. People of color, they're not just because they're not your people. Yeah, Farrakhan bringing Mexicans into the NOI. Now he's bringing Chinese into the NOI. They're not your people. Every plant very stem, you won't find Chinese bringing black folks into their organizations. You won't find Arabs bringing black folks in their organizations. You don't find Indians bring black folks in their organizations. But we bring every little mutt coming into our organization. They're our brothers and sisters. And you got this stupid Farrakhan, he's pushing it. Brothers and sisters, wake up. You're going to wake up in a minute. But just review this again. See, he slipped. See, he called about where her father was, not about where her mother was. So for him so what he was saying is, no, she's really Caucasian. You see, because she is. Assalamu alaikum.